professor of Iqra University. He is also the dean of three of the schools of Iqra University. He's also the founding member of this Imagine Institute. We will talk more about what that institute is all about. And in our conversation today, what we want to basically focus on uh, World Economic Forum's report on employment and skills. And we thought it would be, Al-Ghazali Institute thought it would be great to hear from Dr. Shams Hamid, who's a leading futurologist of the emerging world, to understand what skills do we actually need? What is going to happen? Well, as you know, Dr. Hamid, World Economic Forum uses a very comprehensive method to map out how employment is likely to change and the implications for skills. The report also shows both what we can expect and where we should be uncertain. For example, I was actually surprised. Some of the things I wasn't too surprised with, some of the things that I was. For example, World Economic Forum predicts that education, healthcare, and wider public sector occupations are likely to grow. That very reasonable. But what I was surprised about is that some low-skill jobs that we've been talking about that they will disappear don't seem to don't have the that unfavorable rating. For example, in fields of like construction and agriculture are less likely to suffer poor labor market. So these are all, of course, predictions. At first, I want to understand how these kind of predictions do happen, and when someone is telling me, "Oh, you need to learn the soft skills," what those? So Dr. Hamid, I appreciate if we can today talk about change in the mode of production and changes, and what changes come with that in education system. Right? What changes do you anticipate the technological advancement of the fourth industrial revolution bring to the global job market and the well-being of an individual? What should we learn going forward? So, Dr. Shams Ahmed, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your introduction, and I understand the significance of these questions. Um, uh, First of all, change in the mode of production does brings a lots of changes. It changes our political relationships. It changes our economical relationships. It changes our culture, and all these things happen every time there is a leap in the mode of production. For instance, for a very long time, for hundreds of thousands of years, Homo sapiens were hunters and gatherers. They would hunt to eat and gather to eat, so to survive. And they had small communities. They could not live in a large community. They couldn't settle. They could not create settlements at that time. But then, last 10,000 years ago, from some accounts, in China, we see the beginning of agricultural economy. Mode of production changes. With that, we see settlements. Long time settlements became possible. Relationships also changed. The economical realities changed, and the kind of preparation you needed to create a citizen to participate in it, that also changed. So during the time of hunting and gathering, the education was that a male role model will be used by the boys, and a female role model will be used by the girls. So they just play roles, and doing that will prepare them to hunt or gather and do all those kind of stuff that they needed to do. When agriculture started, we needed more preparation. So we started schools. We call them madarsas. And at that time, we were giving them a year education or some kind of informal education, maybe coming from your parents or their parents' because we have to understand that there is a timeline that we can talk about. Like 10,000 years ago, we saw the first agricultural economy or civilization to take shape. Then we had almost like 10,000 years passed, and only 200 years ago, our mode of production changed again. And with that change, once again, when the steam engine started, we saw that there a lot of things began to change. We went into mechanization, our services, our productions, everything started to change, and because of that, the education had to change as well. And we have had multiple revolutions in the mode of production. First industrial revolution that lasted maybe for about 100 years or so, and then we had the second one when we saw assembly line and more of a converged production, and then we came down to the third revolution, which was the information technology or advanced technology revolution sometime in 1960, and that has changed us a lot. Now we are in the fourth industrial revolution. The mode of production has changed, and it is changing once again our economy. It's again demanding change in our relationships, whether it is social relationships, business relationships, or our relationship with the environment, with the ecosystem. So the this fourth industrial revolution, some people say that it started in 2000, and some say it started in 2010. But we have seen that over the last 20 years, a lot of new technology has come out, and that is changing our reality. So, how do we prepare our kids today, our students today, to adapt with the new emerging realities of the fourth industrial revolution, which is going to change the jobs? It will create new jobs, and it will make the previous jobs obsolete. Some of the jobs are going to go. So it's not that if I lost my job as a cashier, I will find it somewhere else or sometime later. This job is going to go. So there will be no jobs for cashier for that matter. So these kind of things are happening. Now, how do we prepare for it? We also have to understand the point and make a note of it that the rate of change has increased very significantly. It took us more than hundreds of thousands of years to move from hunting and gathering to agriculture, and it took us about 10,000 years to move from agriculture to industrial production. And after that, we have had three revolutions already: first industrial revolution, second, and the third one, that we have almost like already transitioned into the fourth industrial revolution. So in my life, I have lived in during the time when the second revolution, industrial revolution, was transforming into the third industrial revolution, and I've also been through the transition from the third to the fourth industrial revolution. And the rate of change has changed so much. And what does it do to us? When we were in the agricultural economy where we lived for 10,000 years, uh, what I needed to know was already known to people, and that's what they will tell me. And that's what my future would be like. My grandchildren's future would also be like that. They would also have to be taught the same way, because it is the same means of production that we are using. So, economic realities are connected with that, our social realities are connected with that. So, because of that, the future, no matter how distant it was at that time for one individual, it was still known because it was not changing that much. When we entered the first industrial revolution, the change became faster, and we have already gone through three industrial revolutions. So just imagine how fast we are changing. Because we are changing so fast, we have to take up different kind of jobs. We have to change our careers in our lifetime many times. That's why we need lifelong learning. Now we need those skills that helps us become more flexible, more adaptable. So in the industrial age, we needed workers who were efficient, punctual, because they were working on the assembly line. If they missed out on their task, the whole assembly line will be disrupted. So considering that, we needed those people who can understand the instruction and carry it on. So we needed disciplined people. We needed people who can conform. So conformity was needed at that time. Now in the fourth industrial revolution, our jobs, which are manual jobs, which are repetitive jobs, the jobs where we need to be very logical, all these jobs can be taken up by the machines that we have created. That frees up to do other things. So just as much as we needed rationality and reason and logic at that time, because we did not have anything else to support us in that, now we have that support in the form of artificial intelligence, which is fed with enormous big data that now we cannot say that depend on your own personal memory, because our memory cannot hold that kind of information. Earlier we needed our own personal memory, and that was a huge need. So now we can ease on that.
Okay,
So
okay. That does it does make sense. And you know, it's interesting that in your short life you have transitioned from multiple revolution, right? One can question whether if these changes are happening so swiftly and so rapidly, whether we should even be calling them a revolution, because these seem to be an evolutionary growth in our mode of production and in life. And I hear what you're saying, that we need to focus more on the skills that would be needed in future. So I want to pivot back. I want to pivot back to that statement of yours. Number one, lifelong learning. If you know someone like me or younger in their 30s and their 40s who's already doing the job, a particular job, and they read this report, World Economic Forum, that oh, I need soft skills. But what does that mean? And what should I be doing with this? If you can please focus on that, that would be great.
okay, okay. So I can share a few slides if you like, and then we
Oh,
can
yeah,
talk
yeah,
about
please
them.
do. Please do. Yeah, yeah. Please do. And while you're sharing the slide, let me just tell the audience about Iqra University. Of course, it's it's the world recognized university, one of Pakistan's leading university, also listed in UNESCO as an internationally accredited university. Al-Ghazali Institute is an exchange of courses of knowledge where we bring emerging universities together. Make it more accessible to people who are living in the South cooperation. So, Dr. Shams, I see your slide up there, so why don't you go ahead and walk us through.
Okay. Okay, so this is the first slide I wanted to share with you guys. It gives you a timeline, so to make you understand the changes that we have been through during our industrial revolutions. And you can see the first industrial revolution of water power and steam power happened sometime in 1784, and you see the second revolution was in 1870, where we went to assembly line and electrical power. Third one was computational power, and there was a transition. And during that time, we came up with the internet. Now, in technology, this is what is going what is happening in fourth revolution, cyber physical systems. That is the technology part. If we look at the production in the fourth industrial revolution, we have more autonomy. In the third one, we had automation. We were automating things. Now we can exercise more autonomy. Now we are going with mass individualization instead of the third revolution's volume plus quality, volume and quality aspect of things. So you can just look at it a little bit, and that will give you an idea how and what should we anticipate, and how do we prepare for this new world, which where we already are. So these are the 2020 skills outlook that World Economic Forum has shared. And now you look at the two parts of it. One is the growing skill sets, and the other one is the declining one. So remember, we do not only have to learn new skills, we will also have to de-learn those skills which we do not need anymore or which are declining. Okay, so now one thing in the growing skills, we see that analytical thinking and innovation is more important. Earlier, we needed more memory, verbal skills. We needed those kind of skills more, but they are declining now. Active learning and learning strategies are the growing a part of the growing skills. Creativity, originality, and initiative, technology, design and programming, critical thinking and analysis, complex problem solving, leadership and social influence, emotional intelligence, reasoning, problem solving and ideation, systems analysis and evaluation. So these are the growing skills. Now we can categorize those skills in hard skills and soft skills. So hard skills are those like if you need a job right now, I mean, if you learn about blockchain technology, probably you can find yourself a job, no matter where you're living at. If you are good at it, if you can write that code very well, if you understand blockchain concept, you can find a job. So that's the hard skill. But you also need the soft skills. Soft skills are analytical thinking and innovation thinking, improvisation. In this cooperation that Al-Ghazali is trying to build between South and South, what we see and what we have experienced is that we are very improvise. We improvise a lot because we need to improvise a lot. So we have to count on it. We have to enhance that characteristics that we already have because of our limited resources. Also, right now, for the emerging world or for the world developing countries, we have a possibility, we have a chance to take a leap, and that leap, how's that leap possible? It is through the technology that is available. We can use internet connection and access the content that we need to access. That is possible, and we have to work at it. We have to make it more accessible. So availability of internet connection will play a very big role. Then the not only the availability, its affordability, and then our capacity as an individual to read and write in a language in which the content is available, not only our own language, like I am Urdu speaker, but if I try to study physics and do my master's and PhD in physics, I cannot do that in Urdu. I have to know a language, a world language where all the most of the content is available. So either English, German, Chinese. These are the kind of languages I'll have to learn in order to use those content which is available. Now we have to think about analytical thinking and innovation. These are the soft skills. Active learning and learning strategies. So the education system has moved from being teacher centered to learner centered. That is the most important move. And because of that, now the education has to be constructed in a way for it should be customized and individualized. It is not the mass education model anymore, and we can use new technologies to provide that kind of experience to an individual where the learning is customized based on their needs, the areas that they want to work on, what areas they need more help in. So that kind of knowledge we can construct today. We also need critical thinking. We need creative thinking. We need complex problem solving because the problems have become complex. We have to use multiple perspectives in order to solve a problem. So if the problem is job losses, it is an economic problem, it's a social problem, it's a political problem. We have to look at it from multidisciplinary approach. So the systems have become much more complex. In order to understand these systems, we have to be able to analyze it. We have to be able to critically assess it, and then we have to be innovative in order to solve our problem.
Right.
The list of complex problem solving, leadership and social influence, we are seeing that social media is there and we are using that to influence decisions of other people.
I'm sorry to interrupt again and interject again. For someone like myself, and I'm assuming some of our audience as well, uh, what does that actually mean? If I'm trying to find a course, say if I am not a programmer, I'm not a programmer, but I am preparing. So what kind of courses should I actually be looking for? Should I learn more about management? Should I learn about management in new areas? What your guidance will be there first?
The softer skills that we are talking about, you will need that no matter what kind of job you are doing. So those soft skills are very important, and it takes time to practice it and to develop it as a habit. So analytical thinking skills are important. Now, where will you where will you learn these skills? So universities have number of courses available. Like you can take up at Iqra University, you can take up a course on philosophy and critical thinking, and that will give you an opportunity to learn about complex problems and complex systems and how to analyze them and deconstruct them and how to come up with your own new idea. And so those skills you can learn in philosophy and critical thinking that Akhara University offers. We also teach psychology, and there we talk about emotional intelligence. And this new institute that we have established, the first university in Pakistan to establish Institute of Futures Studies, we are geared towards it. So we are offering courses where we focus on these skills, on the soft skills. So we have number of courses that we can share, and you can look that those courses will help you learn these soft skills. And there are a number of universities which are offering courses on futures studies, and that is also very important skill set that you can learn from futures studies, how to create your future. So what do you need for it? So these courses are offered all over the world, and the courses new courses are getting included, and Iqra University is also one of those universities of the world which offers these courses, try to enhance your soft skills to prepare you for the world today.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much, Dr. Shamsami. That was, yeah. Go ahead. Next.
Okay, so the next slide about of the first one we saw the skills comparison, which skills we need today, which are the growing ones, and which one are declining. Now we're looking at the jobs in 2020. Now the top emerging jobs, and there is a list of top declining jobs. So in the top emerging jobs, you're looking at data analysts and scientists, AI, intelligence, and machine learning specialists, general and operations managers, software and applications developer and analysts, sales and marketing professionals, big data specialists, digital transformation specialists, new technology specialists, organizational development specialists, information technology services. So these are the top 10 emerging jobs. And underneath it, you can look at the declining one. Data entry clerks, we are losing them. That job is declining. It's not only the skill, the job is declining. Accounting, bookkeeping, and payroll clerks. These were very important jobs, and they were good paying jobs. Now they are declining. Administrative and executive secretaries, these were important jobs. Now they are declining. Assembly and factory workers, I mean, these jobs are also can be taken out by smart machines. Client information and customer services. So this is the list. We can look at it, and based on that, we can start our preparation. We can focus on those skills which we need today and prepare our students for the top emerging jobs. And that way, we can bring prosperity to our own country as well.
Excellent. One point on this slide, Dr. Shams, sounds like that in the top emerging skills, for example, you say sales and marketing professionals, but we also talk about AI and machine learning. There seems to be a bit of an overlap, right? Even if you're sales and marketing, you need to understand the data. You need to understand,
Absolutely.
right? So even in his skills, it seems like there's somewhat of a spill of knowledge, right? So these are not very domain specific. Am I right in?
Absolutely. I mean, all those are the building blocks of knowledge. So we need, I mean, in order to deal with the complex problems, we need to be aware a little bit about things which are going on in other emerging technologies or emerging realities coming from social sciences as well as from pure sciences and humanities. So all that together construct our knowledge. So they are connected, and we have to think in interconnected and more in terms of larger connections that we have with others, with including the environment and everything. So they are connected. You are absolutely right.
And let me know when it is appropriate to bring in other viewers, because we have some live questions and we have some questions in chat as well. Whenever you think it's appropriate time, we can bring them.
Okay, okay. So this is another slide on past jobs, present jobs, and future jobs. You can look at that. I'm not going to read them,
Okay.
but you can just take a look at it. I'll just give that a minute or two for everyone to just like, I mean, it is. Uh, we have already seen that. This is a more detailed one. Now, this is a map. I want to talk a little bit about the map of future jobs. You see different circles here. Now is here. So this circle is the now part. Then we go into the 25-year circle. So that's what we are looking at there. And then we are looking at the 50-year circle. And on the top, you see the different verticals of different industries. So this is also very interesting, and I think that our viewers will look into it and try to see, are we ready for it, because we need larger maps. It's very important. It's very important to know that since the changes are coming so fast, we can at least know about, think about, prepare ourselves about 10 years, and then another 20 years. So that's how we have to think today, because realities and the modes of production are changing very quickly. Okay, so these again, which skills will be needed? So you need higher cognitive skills, which includes creativity, entrepreneurship, innovation. And in the emerging world, in the developing countries, we need a lot more of it, because we have a huge informal sector, and there we need to include technology. We have to prepare our entrepreneurs to become an active member in this new mode of production. And we also need social and emotional skills for leadership, for service orientation, social influence, and emotional intelligence. So these are the skills that we need today. I'm just going to go through with my slides quickly.
Sure.
My team has prepared that. I just don't want to waste their efforts. Now, these are the 21st century skills, and here you see foundational literacies. Look at this. Now, what does literacy mean? And that is foundational, meaning you need that in order to have competencies. So, you need literacy, you need numeracy, you need scientific literacy, you need information and communication technology literacy, you need financial literacy, and you also need cultural and civic literacy. These are the foundational literacy. So the meaning of literacy, the concept of literacy has expanded many fold. Then these are the competencies: critical thinking and problem solving that we spoke about, creativity, communication, and collaboration. Now, we in the third industrial revolution and earlier, we were focusing more on competition, because that industrial revolution needed more competition to grow its economy, and we needed more and more competition to innovate. Now we need collaboration. Collaboration has become more important than competition. Today, the world is working together to fight COVID-19. So we need more collaboration. And how do we collaborate? How do we work in the team? How do we work with the team which are in different time zones like we are right now? And then the character qualities that we need. We need curiosity. One thing that we tried, in the schools, when we had students come in primary school and pre-K, we tried to discipline them. We tried to make them focus on one thing, Although they were curious, they wanted to play with something else, they wanted to think about something else. But instead of making them curious, we were making them conform. So that was diminishing their curiosity. Now we have to enhance it. We have to enhance initiative. These are the character qualities. So if we want our children to have curiosity, we will have to change the methodology of how to interact with them. Same thing for initiative. We need persistence. We need initiative because most of the jobs we will have to create ourselves. We need to be to have an enterprising and entrepreneurial mindset. For that, we need initiative. We need persistence. We have to go through hard times, and who knows it better than the people from our part of the world, from the developing countries, how to persist, how to have grit. We are more resilient than any other developed countries. Adaptability. We need to adapt better. And once again, we are pretty good in adaptability too, but we have to be aware of the new challenges, new reality, so that we can adapt to that. We have a more flexible personalities though, so these character qualities are there in our kids already. We just have to ensure that they do not lose it, and we have to ensure that we interact in a way that does not harm or diminish these characteristics. We need leadership. And once again, we know that very well, that we have to become our own leader. We cannot rely on other as leaders. We have to become our own leader, and it is very important. And the other one is social and cultural awareness. Wherever we are, there is a culture, and that culture we need to be aware of. So if I'm working internationally, and I'm working with different people from different culture, how do I interact with them? What kind of language is proper? What kind of jokes I should not crack? What kind of thing could be thought of as racism? What can be considered as an ethnic slur? So I have to consider that the social and cultural awareness have become extremely important. So I'm done with my slides. Thank you for watching them and listening to me.
Thank you. This was a great and very optimistic outlook of the emerging world. I appreciate that, and I share your sentiment that people from the emerging world and the south of the world are have a lot more grit and adaptability, and going forward, we should be able to leverage that if we have a disciplined approach to it. With that said, I want to see if we had a couple of questions. Let me see if we can bring someone in this moment. All right. So the first, let me just read it out for you. Okay. So there is a question: how to live in a world where profound uncertainty is not a bug but a feature. That's an interesting question.
Yeah. Very interesting question. And I would love to know the answer to it too. Uh, it is very difficult, no doubt, and we are living in so much uncertainty. COVID-19, for instance, has brought uncertainty all over the world. It has, I mean, no matter where you live, if you are coughing, you think maybe I got COVID-19, a coronavirus, something like that. So it is on our mind, and it is on the mind of everyone on this globe. So it has interconnected us. It has shown that interconnection and interdependence in a beautiful way as well. But the uncertainties are there. Being a student of philosophy, I mean, this has been one of my focus to understand what uncertainty is, and I see that a lot. And still, I mean, the only way to deal with it is to be more flexible, more adaptable, more open, and suspend your judgment of insecurities. Have a positive, hopeful story that you follow. So hope does a lot of things for me, and so is the thankfulness, gratefulness. That also helps. And uncertainty, no matter whether there was COVID or not. So if we think about it, everything is uncertain, and new sciences are telling us even the material reality is not that hard as we thought it was.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so very much. Let's see, where do we get our next question from? All right.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Uh, as you mentioned, Roxab, earlier, that we need cognitive flexibility and emotional intelligence for the survival. So, how to create a viable future education? Please share your views regarding on this topic with us.
So your question is how do we construct education for this world?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay. So I mean, we have to rethink it, and all the educationists, all of the world are trying to rethink, reimagine education because education has to change. Education was meant to make you disciplined, meant to make you memorize a lot of stuff, meant to make you conform to the social norms and the existing reality. Now we need an individual who's more creative, who can think out of the box. So we need the uniqueness to flourish. So for that, we have to rethink. And rethinking that kind of education I mean, it is already happening. Universities are transforming themselves. Online education provides us better opportunities to deliver or construct that kind of education because of the learning management systems have become much more powerful in organizing our content in delivering a personalized and individualized learning experience. So I think we have to learn from the best practices of different organizations all over the world and try to focus more on the new emerging skills, and that's how we can take care or bring up our kids as well as the students that we are working with.
Thank you so much, Roxab. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question, sir. All right, let's see the last one. Keep going.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Dr. for such an informative session. My question is about, like, you are talking all the way about AI, big data, deep learning. So my question is regarding these things, that AI, big data, and deep learning technologies are uh, uh, decision making more complex. So how do we develop algorithms without human bias? Like, human bias is something which is there. So how we are going to develop algorithms without our human biasness?
It's a very difficult question, and we have been trying to remove our bias in our scientific methodology. We focused a lot on it, and we said that there is a possibility that we can be unbiased. But now the most of the people know, even if they are coming from science, that it is not that easy. You are situated in the same reality, so there is subjective element which is going to be there. So even if we are making our machines use a lot of data and crunch that using the algorithms that we create, our biases are transferred to those algorithms, and those machines will be as biased as we are. And to now we have to think of which biases we want to get rid of. So like racism is one bias we want to get rid of. So how do we do that? How do we construct uh, artificial intelligence in a way which is free from the racial bias or ethnic bias, and what is creating it? Now the knowledge that all these machines have is constructed by human beings in the past. So if it looks at the data available, it picks out those racial biases, and it thinks that it is the mainstream, and it uses it in order to make decisions for us. So we have to restrict the data that should be available to the machine in order to make those decisions that we want to get to. So, for instance, if I go with the gender bias and I say that most of the application developers are males, so they have that male bias. and if we increase the numbers of females, maybe that will neutralize that bias. So that can be one thing. But then if I'm creating an app and the data that I'm feeding it, if that data is cleaned of any of the gender bias, then my machine will not have that bias. So these are some of the techniques we can use, but it's very difficult. You're absolutely right.
So it means again, like in a data-driven world, we have to more focused on the soft skills, like the way we have to be more creative or innovative or collaborative for getting rid of this biasness. Is that so?
Absolutely. We have to have that those soft skills that guide us. Compassion is very important. Empathy is very important, so that we can collaborate, so that we can tackle the global issues we are facing. So times have changed, and so we have to change too. And education systems are also changing because we need to prepare our students differently for different things that we didn't do earlier and we didn't even know about.
Thank you so much, Dr. for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So just to add on to what the last caller had asked you, right? Is that even if we assume that we are inherently passing on our own biases to the machines, whether it's artificial intelligence in terms of how we augment things, or in terms of a big data analysis, can we not state with some level of certitude that that bias would not be greater than the biases of human?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the last part of your
Yeah,
question.
so the bias that we are afraid of coming out of AI and data-driven world, right? Uh, is it not safe to assume that that bias will not be greater than the biases that we have lived with in our previous life if it is coming directly from our human interaction,
Very true. It
right?
is. Yes.
So in order to fix that problem, it may not be a technical issue or technology issue, right? Programming issue, and more of a human evolution issue, right? As you
No
said,
doubt. No
right?
doubt already.
Right,
Yes.
right. More collaboration, more cultural understanding, more knowledge of yourself and the people around you. So, Dr. Shams, thank you very much. Let's see if you have other questions. If not, then I wanted to talk about the Imagine Institute for a minute, if it's okay with you. So, the
Absolutely.
Imagine Institute of Future Studies of Iqra University. It's an interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, and transdisciplinary research institute. Tell me what goes into setting up an institute such as future studies of future studies like Imagine, and what is the significance of an institute like this coming from Pakistan?
Okay. Uh, this institute of future studies is the first one in Pakistani university, but it is not new in other university in other part of the world. In American, one of the American universities, university offers BS degree in future studies, master's degree in future studies, and PhD degree in future studies too. Hong Kong has made it a mandatory subject for all their undergrad students to study future studies. Now, why is that becoming so important? We always had one department that was called Department of Foresight in all the big corporations and in the government. We had that department. Now, this futures studies is different from that foresight.
How so?
Foresight had the assumptions Foresight had was different from the assumptions of future studies.
Okay.
Foresight, the assumption was that reality or the future is determined. Since it is determined, we can predict it. We can predict it, right, because it is a determined system, it's a closed system. Now, futurists believe that future is indeterminate. Since it is indeterminate, it cannot be predicted. If it is not determined and it cannot be predicted, then what can we do about our future? So the futurists say that human beings, as an individual, you are a free agent. you can shape your future. So that is where they are coming from, the futurologists. Now, the futurologists say that whatever future you want to create as an individual, for your family, for yourself, for your family, for your community, for your nation, for your region, for your globe, you have to gather the story that you want to get to. So you have to create your own future story. Once you have created your future story, your goal, then you look at the emerging trends or the signals around you in the environment and the resources, and then you create a roadmap to get there. You keep revising your roadmaps as the reality changes around you to to get to the place where you wanted to get. You can do that for your corporation, for your company. You can do that for your government. You can do it for your non-for-profit organization. You can do it for your own career planning. So that is the significance. Now, why did we need a future studies department in Pakistan, in a developing country? We need this department in Pakistan because the developing countries also need to have a voice. We also need to participate in changing the future, in creating the future. We cannot stay passive while the developed countries are making everything. We are staying passive. We have to create our own roadmaps based on the problems that we are facing. So we have to solve global crises, for instance, of technological disruption that will create joblessness in a huge number. So we will also be part of it. Not only the developed countries, developing countries will be a part of it. Climate crisis, once again, this is a global crisis. It is for all the nations, for the developing countries too. We also need to have our own problems. We need to know our own resources. We have to come up with our own solutions to solve these problems. And we have to create our own future map and a roadmap to get there. And it is very important because developing countries need to have a say in in solving these issues, because we are also a stakeholder. So Iqra University decided to establish Institute of Futures Studies to take up this challenge and try to construct stories, to first gather stories from our people, and once we have this story, work on creating the roadmaps and continuously revise it. The other reason for establishing Institute of Future Studies, as Dr. Wasim Qazi has understands, is to use Future Studies Department for lifelong learning skills, for lifelong learning courses. So that is a little background, and the story that, or the preferred story that we have created so far, which can also change, but so far we have created the story that we want to create a sustainable a sustainable world, and a humane world, and an equitable world. That is the kind of world we want to create. So this is our story. Now we have to create roadmaps how to get there.
So one question coming from Sobia, and I want to add to that question. She asked, how can we change our education for continuous lifelong learning? And I want you to flip that question as well after addressing the education side. As a lifelong learner, how should I be getting information and resources, and what should I be doing as a learner? So both the institutional part and the learning.
Okay, let's go with the learner's part first, because I'm a learner and I can share my journey with you. Uh, I needed a language where I can access information. That was very important for me. My first language, my native language is Urdu. English was a foreign language for me. It became an academic language for me. Then living in Canada for a long time, it became my second language. But still I feel much more comfortable in my own language. But if I had not learned this language, I would not be able to access the content that is available. So that is very important that we do that. After we have that capability. We have developed the potential to access the content. Now we can choose what content to go with. I try to listen to smart people today, and I try to listen whether they are technologists, whether they are ethicists, whether they are politicians. I like to listen to them, and that helps me. Then there are courses available free of cost that I attend, I take up, and that helps. The technology has made it possible for me to sit in Karachi and access all the material from all over the world. So that is a wonderful opportunity, and that becomes possible because I know this language and I have internet connectivity and I have a digital device. So that is more important. And from the institutional point of view, we are rethinking, we are adjusting our educational system at Iqra University. We have done a lot. And in futures, like an online learning platform, we have built that, we have created content, we have developed it to a level where we are the leaders of online education providers in Pakistan. We are right on the top. So we have worked at it, and we have tried to adapt to the changing reality. We have tried to look at the future to create our learning experiences for our students.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Well, I think that about covers most of the questions that were on the chat. And so see something from Sayyid Daniel Hassan. As we know, things are getting really worse day by day. I don't see the question at the end.
Okay, Daniel, that's perspective, and I hope that you also look at the good things that is happening, and if we focus on the good things, I mean, you will be relaxed, you will be participative. If you look at the bad things, you will get depressed, you will become passive. So, a story of hope, no matter even if it's a lie, it's a better story.
And just to add to that, Dr. Hamid, the story of hope is not necessarily a story of life. A story of hope has a very quantifiable benefit. There have been a lot of studies coming out of both UC Berkeley, Harvard has done the happiness studies, and you can just Google happiness studies, and you'll find a lot of that information. Danielle. And I would highly recommend that you look up a book by Al-Ghazali. It's called Alchemy of Happiness. Basically, the book tells you why gratitude and having a better outlook changes your present as well. Because we live in our day-to-day, and our present is impacted both by our memories of our past and our visions of tomorrow. So things may look like they are getting worse, but if you look at the positive sides, there's a whole bunch of positive things that are happening as well. So I see another question here from mental flexibility. And okay, so Mr. Khatani asked, to survive, we need mental flexibility and emotional balance. How to create a viable future education that kind of gives us that both flexibility and emotional balance?
Salman, you are asking very difficult questions. Believe me, like we need mental flexibility. That's true. We need emotional balance and emotional intelligence. That is true. How to create a viable future education? Okay, creating it, our education has to be more flexible. It has to be individualized. It has to be customized. I guess that's how I think that that's how we can create an education for future.
So here's something that's kind of may sound like a fallacy, but it's not, because you said that collaboration is key in this environment, and you also emphasize the individualized learning, right? And I just want to point out that these are not mutually exclusive things.
No, they are
right?
complementary. Yeah, they complement each other. Yeah.
Exactly. Excellent. I think we are on top of the hour. I really appreciate again you joining, Dr. Shams. As I said, Iqra University is a leading university of Pakistan. We've collaborated. Al-Ghazali has collaborated with Iqra University to bring the courses in Africa and in Middle East and other parts of the world as well. My name is Ibrahim Malick, and I curate 3 courses. I have a couple of courses online that you guys can go and sign up for. One is for English for professionals, English as a second language, and I'm also starting to launch a course on project management. My role is to provide education at no cost as much as possible, but we also Al-Ghazali is as an institution partners with world's leading organization to bring courses that are meaningful, that are more connected to what the skills of future would be like. So I'll highly recommend that you guys go and look up Al-Ghazali Education. And let me see if I can share the website. Hold on. Let me share my screen.
Okay, so Iqra University, I want to just add a little bit. Like Iqra University is ranked #1 in Pakistan in business category, and it is also ranked in QS ranking. It is also ranked in Times ranking. So Iqra University's participation in research is highly appreciated, and our concern with the sustainable development goals and trying to implement that has also been appreciated, and that's why we are getting ranked higher, and we are continuing with implementing SDG goals. No discrimination based on any religion, caste, gender. That these kind of policies, we are trying to keep our organization transparent. The way everything is run is based on open policy, accountability. So that's what we are practicing, and Iqra University is here because of its continuous development, and we just hope to improve our excellence, and I'm sure that we will be able to do it based on our previous experience.
Right. Excellent. Well, thank you very much, and we will be bothering you again, Dr. Hamid, in future,
Thank
inshallah.
you. I really appreciate. I
Yeah.
really appreciate this opportunity. It was very nice talking to people around the world, especially talking about what the new world is like, what
Yeah.
kind of skills we need, where do we get these skills from, what are the new jobs we are anticipating. But most importantly, that one thing that I have learned personally, and that I hope my children also understand, because I keep telling them, is in today's world we need to be very flexible and adaptable. Our psychological well-being has become very important. So please take care of yourself, and try to create stories of hope. Participate, collaborate. We can create a good world, a beautiful world, and with that hope, I thank you, Ibrahim Sajid sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye.
Thank
Love.
you.